All right, what is up, everybody? We are here for episode 3 of Beyond the Game podcast. I do talk about sports, sports cards, business, life, relationships, whatever you guys like. Got a bunch of things to talk about here today. Got a bunch of questions from you guys as well. We just went live on Instagram as well. So if you guys have any questions on the Instagram live, feel free to drop it in the chat. More than happy to answer. Some random sports card stuff. So Contenders football, which is like my favorite product in all of sports cards, just came out today. Or it comes out, today. What's kind of interesting about Contenders football is, so people ask me, like, because sports cards is confusing, especially like modern sports cards, because like there's so many different types of like products. Like one player has like Zenith this and Fire this and Autograph this and this is an there's like a million different products, and some are better than others. And I actually just made a training on this recently, but a lot of times people ask me, I can't sell my cards. Like, I'm having trouble selling my cards. And I tell them, well, it's because you're buying the wrong stuff, right? If you're buying the right stuff, like for example, like this card of LaMelo Ball, like this orange prism, like this is very sellable. It's very liquid. I can go anywhere and people will be very interested in it. But I bring that up because Contenders football is like the premium football product, the football card, like kind of like Bowman Chrome baseballs, like the baseball card. This is the football card, and the reason why that is to kind of give you guys a quick backstory on sports cards. So Contenders football was the like first like autographed football rookie card, and I believe. Let me just look this up here. 1990, was it 1998? Yeah, 1998, I believe, was the first year of Contenders. And if you guys, yeah, I believe 1998 was the first year of Contenders. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Peyton Manning's rookie card, him kind of like running like sideways. That's from 1998. And Contenders has been released every year after that. One of the most iconic ones is Tom Brady's rookie card, which is, what is that, 2001 or 2000? I don't want to be misquoted. Brady Contenders. Forget his rookie year. It is 2000. Yeah, 2000. It's Contenders rookie card. So like Contenders has been released every single year. It's a super iconic product, and that like carries over when sports cards got really big. Like people like the original collectors, that's what they wanted. They still wanted those original rookie cards, which are Contenders, and that's why Contenders football is one of the most desirable types of football cards because it came out so long ago, and it's like a blue blood or original type of card. That's the best way I could put it. And that actually comes out today, which is weird because usually Contenders comes out in like March, February. And what's strange, so what you're gonna see happen is you're gonna see Contenders be released, right? You're gonna see these cards of Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, these guys, and they're gonna be super high. Because whenever a product comes out, people get really excited. Like the newbies in the hobby just want it. They just want to buy whatever. And it's super inflated, and then it shoots down usually by like 50%. So like just to give you an example, like Victor Wembanyama, for example, his silver prism. When it first came out, as a PSA 10, I remember it was like 2,500, and the hype kind of died. More of the tens came out, and it dropped down, and now it's worth about $1,000. And same thing happens with really any product that gets released. Starts out high, comes crashing down. It's just how it goes. Usually crashes down by 50%. So like for example, like Anthony Richardson and like his Contenders autograph. If I had to guess, I'm just guessing here. I could be way off here, so don't quote me. But when his first base autographs get released, I'd say 13, 14, 1,500, and you'll see it crash down to like $700, $800. This is just a rough guess. So that is what you could see happen. What's interesting is because it's coming out in July, we're like approaching the football season and training camp and preseason where people get excited and football usually shoots up. So it's like Contenders comes out and usually products come down, but it's coming out at such a time where things are very hot. So it might not go down as much as you might think. I mean, Contenders is going to be super hot at the National Card Show, which is also something I wanted to talk about here in a little bit. But with Contenders, what's interesting is CJ Stroud does not have autographs in there. So you won't see any CJ Stroud autographs in there. Reason being is because he's not signed with Panini. So what'll happen is he's gonna have like, and they're still gonna sell for good amounts of money. You'll see his base like not autographs, and there just simply won't be an autograph on the card. And the last time I could think of like such a noticeable player not having his autographs, you guys probably this is probably way too long ago, but in 2016, Mr. Ben Simmons was a rookie. I know it's hard to believe now, but Ben Simmons was like the shit. Like this guy just was like the most hyped player ever. Like kind of like Zion Williamson in 2019. Ben Simmons was it. He's got a 6'10", move like a gazelle, could pass. People really didn't know he couldn't shoot at that time. So he was like the shit. And he was signed with Upper Deck. So I don't know if you guys could look on eBay, but if you look at Ben Simmons' National Treasures, it's numbered to 99. It almost looks like there should be an autograph there, but there's not. And those cards, even though they were not autographed, I mean, I remember they were selling for like $5, 10, $15,000. Now they're probably worth like a few $100 maybe. But yeah, see, because CJ people love Contenders, but CJ Stroud isn't in Contenders. You'll see his base. Oh, whoops! You'll see his base not autographed sell for good amounts of money. Um, Card up right there. We go. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see because it's coming out later in the year, and usually it doesn't happen. I think it's coming out later in the year because there are probably some sort of like legal issues with Fanatics taking over or something, and I don't know. Yeah, that's the best I got for you guys. But yeah, it should be interesting. So watch out. You'll see the card sell for. There's gonna be a lot of them on eBay. Got some Q&A here. Got a bunch of them. Um, so John asked me, what's the cheapest way to ship cards, and is it necessary to have a special printer for shipping labels? Nope, you don't need a special printer for shipping labels. If you want a special printer for shipping labels, the most common one and the one I use is actually this is not the one I use anymore, but I used to. It's called a Dymo label printer, DYMO. Um, that's like probably the most common shipping label printer. But honestly, for the first like 6, 7 years in sports cards, I just had a regular printer. I would just cut out the shipping label, just tape it to the bubble mailer. And the cheapest way, I mean, I probably if I was shipping cards, I mean, it depends what they're worth. But first class is the cheapest way. So that's like the cheapest way to ship something through USPS, but there's still a tracking number. It'll be around like depending on the weight where you're shipping it to, like $4. It's probably the cheapest way to do it. So just use your regular printer and use USPS first class. Um, a very common thing that people use, and oh, I forget the name of it. Let me look this up on my computer. I forget. What's this called? Yeah. So pirateship.com, pirate ship, like pirate, like arg, like pirateship.com is a very convenient software or website to use for shipping cards. It's free. It's super simple to put in the address. You get to see at a bird's eye view of everything you have, where they're at. So that's what I use, pirateship.com. And Caleb asked me, what does your hat stand for? Just asking. It stands for Major League Profits. It's the name of like the coaching program I run that teaches people how to make money with sports cards. Major League Profits. Um, so hopefully that answers your question, John. Pete says, I've been watching different sports trading card people on YouTube, and a lot of the comments are about the market being oversaturated. What is your perspective on the current market and ROI? Well, I mean, like, what does the word saturated mean? Like, it's saturated with too many cards? It's saturated with too many people? Let me give you an example. Here's a good example, Pete. So people thought in the pandemic the market was saturated, right? Because so many people were coming into the hobby. But what happens in sports cards is the more people that come into the hobby means there's more demand for cards, which means the prices of everything just goes up. If people are having trouble making money, it's not because there's more people in the hobby or there's more cards out there. They just, quite frankly, don't know what they're doing, right? It's kind of like, let me give you a good example, like New York City, right? Like New York City, how many, if you've ever been, there's like got to be like 500 or 1,000 Italian restaurants. There's like a million of them. Some succeed, some don't. The ones that succeed, well, guess what? They have really good customer service, they have really good food, and these are the ones that thrive, even though there's an Italian restaurant, two of them every single block. So if you're having trouble making money, blaming that a market is saturated is not a thing. The word market saturation in business, people misuse the word. The word market saturation just means there's a lot of people interested in whatever you have to offer or whatever the market is, right? Isn't that a good thing that tons of people are coming in the world of sports cards, right? That's all market saturation is, right? Like, use another example, not only the Italian restaurant in New York City, but like, um, let's think of like, I don't know if you guys ever see the ads for like drop shipping or e-commerce, right? People think like e-commerce is saturated, right? And maybe it is, but it's not, because the reason e-commerce is saturated is because there's so many people coming into the world of e-commerce, because there's so many people out there online that want to buy stuff online, right? So the word market saturation, all that means is there's a lot of interest in whatever the thing is that we're talking about. In this case, sports cards. So like, it's a good thing that there's a lot of interest in sports cards, because it means there's just more people in the hobby. And it means the overall prices of things go up. Like back in 2016, 2017, I'm just gonna put a number. Let's say there was like 100 people in the world of sports cards. Obviously, it's not, but like, let's say 100 people in the world of sports cards. And when the pandemic happened, there was like a major interest. So like, there was like 2,000 people in the world of sports cards, and then it died a little bit and went down to 1,000. But we are there's like 5 to 10 times more people in sports cards now than there were when I first got it in 2015, 2016. Hence, why like a LeBron James rookie card, a Topps Chrome PSA 10, was worth like $300 when I first got in the hobby, and now it's worth like, what is it, $4,000 or $5,000? Um, isn't that a good thing? It sounds like a good thing to me. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of what market saturation means. So don't let people tell you it's saturated. If people are saying they can't make money, they just don't have the proper information and tools to actually consistently and predictably make money. Hopefully that answers your question, Pete. Do you see other grading companies gaining steam on PSA from an investment perspective? No. That's the best answer. No. Um, Actually, funny enough, like when I first got into sports cards, especially with like modern sports cards, like modern higher end sports cards, ones that sell for like $100, $200, like Beckett was like it. Like PSA was the place where you sent like lower end base cards that are like 20, $30 in vintage. Beckett was the place for modern cards. So it was like PSA vintage, Beckett modern. And I honestly, this is gonna sound crazy. I don't think I ever sent the card. I got in sports cards in 2015. I don't think I sent a sports card into PSA to be graded until 2020. So like Beckett was like the shit. And then I'm not exactly sure why they took a downturn. I know Nat Turner bought PSA, which helped them a lot because he's like a collector and he understands kind of what people want. And in the pandemic, Beckett was just like doing everything wrong, just like increasing the price of cards to get graded, which no one liked, of course, and then it was taking forever to get your cards back. And I heard of stories they were damaging cards, and one thing led to another, and Beckett just went down the tubes. And it's crazy, like the difference now. Like, I mean, a Beckett 9.5 like is just like worth half of what a PSA 10 is a lot of the time. And when I first got into the hobby, a Beckett 9.5 is worth at least a PSA 10, sometimes more. And Beckett was easier to get your cards graded. They were way faster than PSA. So, I mean, that's all changed now. But so Beckett used to be it. But in terms to answer your question, I mean, the second grading company I would say to PSA is SGC, in my opinion. Like, I'd probably rather send cards to SGC rather than Beckett, even though it's kind of close. It depends on the card. Like a higher end card, like National Treasures or Flawless, something like very high end, I'd rather send to Beckett than SGC. But if I'm buying like Prism, like base Wembanyamas or something like that, I'd rather send it to SGC than Beckett. However, Beckett does have an interesting thing where a Beckett Black Label is still worth a ton of money, or a Beckett 10. So there is that. But yeah, to answer your question, no, none of them are gaining steam, in my opinion. And there's been so many people that have tried, especially during the pandemic. Like, I mean, there were so many grading companies that came out that tried to compete with them, but none could. John, you said how long does it take for PSA to send cards back typically? Well, there's multiple service levels. So there's like the lowest end service level, which is bulk, which is I believe right now is $19. And I think you need to send at least 20 cards in one order. And that, I mean, it depends. I've seen it take 3 weeks. I've seen it take 6, 7 weeks. On average, I'd say right now is like 4 to 5 weeks. When I send in cards to PSA, I usually send in higher end cards. So like the service level I'm using is like the $75 or the $150, and it takes me like 2 weeks on average. But once again, I've seen it take 4 days, then I've seen it take like 3 weeks for like the $70 service level. So like it's kind of a crapshoot, but they have been pretty good. Like in the pandemic, I know people still think it takes forever to get your cards back from PSA, but like it's not the case. Like in the pandemic, it was taking like 6, 7, 8 months a lot of the time to get your cards back, but now they're pretty good. And if you're doing sports cards correctly, think about this, right, John? To answer your question, who's in the Instagram live? Let's say you buy a card, right? Let's say you have $1,000, right? And let's say you spend a few $100s on cards throughout the month, and you send them into PSA. Let's say it takes about a month for these cards to get back to you. Well, these cards start to come back to you after a month. You grade them, you sell them, you take the profits, and you just replenish, and it just becomes a cycle. So after the first batch you have of cards that come back to you, and if you're consistent, you keep up the process of sending in cards for grading, getting them back, and selling them, repeating that wheel, you won't even notice how long cards are taking to get back to you, whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, because it's just nonstop. You always have them coming in as long as you're buying. Mike asked me, do you typically buy off of eBay only or Whatnot single? I actually haven't messed around with Whatnot that much. I do a lot of my buying off of taking people off of eBay and on Facebook, to be blunt with you. But like, there is no magical place to buy or sell cards. Like, for example, like I almost never sell cards on eBay. It's like very rare, like very, very rare, to be honest with you. However, I have students that only sell cards on eBay and they sell over $100,000 a year in cards. So it's like, it depends on your preference, which best suits you. Like Facebook groups and sports card shows best suit me because I know a lot of people in the hobby and like I have a lot of people's phone numbers and I can just text them like, hey, do you want this card? But if you're starting out, eBay might be better. I can't relate to it because like I've been in the hobby for like a long time. So that's just personally me. But there's no magical place to buy and sell cards. Like I have students that only buy hockey cards and make a crap ton of money, which like I would never recommend, but like they do it and it works. So it just depends on like you. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Why does a I think I know what you're asking here. I think Margis is your name. Why does PSA it says auto 10 but not gem mint 10? So you could have two things. I don't think I have any examples here, but like yeah, I don't have an example. This card's not autographed, but like you could have two things when it comes to getting a card graded with PSA. You see how it says gem mint 10? That means the grade of the card is a 10. So the grade, the condition of the card is a 10. Great. Also above it, you could have the auto, or is it below it or above it? I forget. But it'll say auto grade 10. So sometimes you'll see someone grade the autograph, it'll be a 10, but they won't want to grade the condition of the card because it might be in bad condition. So because of that, don't be fooled and think the card is worth a 10. It's not. Um, Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Sid. Sid says, is it possible to make money buying expensive cards that are not graded and submitting them to PSA to get graded? Or is this too big of a risk if it doesn't come back a 10? So it's not a massive risk. Like let's say when you use the word expensive cards, I'm going to let's assume $1,000, right? $1,000 card is what you're buying. I'd say that's pretty higher end. Well, $1,000 card, this is the problem. Okay, there's multiple, even though I do it myself, there's multiple problems. So when you start buying higher end cards, a less percent of them are in good condition. Because when you get to that area of buying cards, the people that are buying those types of cards know what they're doing. And guess what? A lot of them are grading cards. As opposed to buying like $100 to $200 cards, a lot of those people are just breaking and just doing it for fun and just flipping them. And you could find that actually those cards in good condition. So if you were to take, let's say, 100 cards that are worth $1,000 each and 100 cards that are worth $100 each, I'd say if you randomly picked 100 cards that are worth 1,000 each that are raw, maybe 20 of them are in good condition. As opposed to the $100 cards, maybe 40 of them are in good condition. So it's harder to find those cards in good condition, and there's way less of them, right? So they're harder to grade, and there's way less of them, and a less percent of them are in good condition. And then also on the flip side of things, so think about this, Sid. So let's say you buy a card, right, for $1,000. Let's take this card of Brock Purdy. I didn't grade this card. I bought it graded. This card, not graded, is about 1,500. Okay, a 10 is about 3,000 to 3,500. Okay, higher end card. Or let's take this card, for example, of Anthony Richardson right here. This card's like 70, $80, not graded, and a 10's about 220, 230, 240. So the lower end stuff actually has a higher percent multiplier than the higher end stuff. Why? Think about this, right? If I go and sell this card for Brock Purdy, it's worth $3,000. There's far less people that can afford and are interested in a Brock Purdy card that's $3,000. Because remember, the average person in sports cards is like your average collector. They like a player, they want to invest in him. And the average person cannot afford to spend $3,000, right? Because think about it, when you buy a card and you grade it, and you're grading it and you're selling it as a 10, a lot of the time you're selling it to a person that's just a believer in that player. Like, they just believe in Anthony Richardson and they think he's a good player. They think he's going to go up in value, and they're buying him to long-term invest. And when you're selling cards in the few $100 range, well, guess what? Way more people could afford it, so you get way more demand, which means the prices go up. So the point I'm trying to make here is higher-end cards, a lot of the time, this isn't every time, but a lot of the time, have less of a multiplier. So you might only 2.5 times your money as opposed to 3 times your money with a lower end card that's worth like $100. And I know what you're probably thinking now. You're probably like, okay, like, well, I still make more money with a higher end card. You don't, because it takes way longer to find these cards, and a less percent of them are going to grade a 10. So based off of what I just said, would you rather have 10 cards that are worth $100 each, or one card worth $1,000? I'd rather have the 10 cards worth $100 each, because 6, 7, or 8 of them will 10, as opposed to a $1,000 card. Maybe you have a 40% chance of getting a 10. And when those cards grade a 10, you actually have a bigger profit, because even though not per card you don't have a bigger profit, but your percent profit margin is higher. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there. But yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, you can make money with higher end cards. Like, I do it all the time. Like, this year, my biggest bang this year was I bought a Shohei Ohtani card for like 10 grand. Got it graded, a grade of 10. I sold it for 30. Well, like half cash, half trade. But so like you could, and like sometimes you get lucky, like I did. But yeah, I would, especially if you're newer into cards and you don't have a running bankroll of like 50, 60, 80 grand, where you could just dump a few $1,000s into a card and not care. I would definitely start with like the lower end stuff around $100, $150, $200, etc. Greg says, what is I think you're asking about the school group, Greg. So, Greg, you're asking about the $47 a month school group. So I have a school group. If you guys don't know what school is, it's like a community. It's like a Facebook group. We have coaching calls, a classroom with videos all in one. It's $47. You could join it if you'd like. If you back out at any time in the first month, we refund you the $47. The reason we put together the $47 a month school group is for people that are skeptical, right? Like, you guys see my ads online, probably. You guys see YouTube videos, and a lot of you guys are like on the fence, like, ooh, like, does this actually work? Does it not work? And I understand, because, like, I've been doing this a long time, so it's easy for me to say, oh, yeah, sports cards, you can make money, but a lot of you guys are new to this stuff, and you guys are skeptical of online ads. So we put together a school group that's $47, and you could join it, back at any time. It's like a way to start small, get your feet wet, and get going from there. So, yeah, that's what the school group is, Greg. Jake, I kind of already went over this a little bit, but how soon after a new product is released do prices typically stabilize, and what signs do you look for? I look for a 50% drop. So, like 50%. So if something's selling for like $1,000, I want to see it drop to like $600-$700, and like I want to see, like, because what'll happen when a new product comes out? Like, let's take Contenders, for example. Let's take Anthony Richardson autographed Contenders card. You'll see it go like 1,500, and 1,300, and 1,200, then maybe 1,200 again, then 11, then 1,000, then 800. I want to see like 3 or 4 sales around the same mark, around like I want to see like 800, 750, 825, 775. I want to see it stabilize a little bit. It might dip down a little bit more, but once I see that stabilization, then I'm like, okay, this is stabilized. It's not going to drop too far off because the problem, obviously, if you buy a card that's like, $1,500, and even if it's in great condition, and by the time you get it back, raw sales are like $800, maybe you'll get lucky and sell it for like 2,400, which is like obviously not good money. It's not bad money, but like something I use as a rule of thumb when buying a card to get graded. After fees, after everything, after grading costs, eBay fees, shipping, everything, I want to at least double my money. That's like my benchmark. Minimum, I want to double my money. So can't do that if you buy a card for 1,500. By the time you get it back from grading, it's 800, right? Obviously. Hopefully that answers your question, Jake. Some other things that I thought were pretty cool. So that guy, actually, I think he was the first Australian first round pick of MLB. That guy Travis Bazana, Australian guy from Oregon State. I think his cards are gonna sell for a crap ton of money. And what you'll see is when his cards come out. So what does MLB draft come out in September? I believe. Am I wrong there? I think MLB draft comes out. MLB Bowman Chrome draft comes out in September. I think you'll see a ton of Australians come into the world of sports cards because I think him alone is going to bring a lot of Australians into the world of baseball, which will bring them into the world of sports cards. So that'll be pretty cool because it's, honestly, I really didn't even know they played baseball in Australia before seeing that guy was drafted. So I think it'll be pretty cool. Some other stuff. So I know you guys like when I talk about recent purchases. This is a card I purchased a few what was it, like a week or two ago of Chet Holmgren. I bought it already graded. I paid like $1,900. Reason I bought it is because basketball is very low right now. I got a good deal. The last sale to like 2,300 or 2,400. So I bought it. Hopefully it'll go up to like 27, 2,800. I'll make like $800-900 on the card. That's kind of how to do sports cards at a higher end level. Like that's kind of the next step to it. Like buying cards already graded. That's like what to do once you've kind of maxed out your bankroll with buying raw cards to get graded. Some other things. So actually, got a few good things here. So NFL cards. So for those of you guys that are interested in making money with sports cards, what you'll see happen with NFL cards. So now we're getting into like training camp, the National Card Show, preseason. NFL cards will begin to go up in value. A lot of these quarterbacks you'll see will go up 30%, 40%, 50%. And a lot of the time these guys go up in value just based on like hype and momentum. And I always like to refer to this like every every season is like the 2008 housing crisis. That's like the best analogy I can give. Like for those of you guys that remember the 2008 housing crisis, right? There's a lot of mortgages being put out there and a lot of loans being given out there to people, and it was backed by nothing because they couldn't afford the loans. They barely had enough money to survive, and eventually people couldn't pay the banks. The banks defaulted, houses foreclosed, boom, economy goes into shit. So it's kind of like that with sports cards because you'll see like a lot of these guys leading up to the NFL season, like late August, early September, their values are too high for what they should be just based on hype and momentum and inflation and excitement. And what happens is, let's take Anthony Richardson, for example. Like this card is worth like $250. Should it be worth that? I don't know. Maybe it should be worth a little bit less, but that card might appreciate to like 280, 300. And when people realize that, oh wait, he went in week 1 of NFL, he threw for 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and the Colts lost by 7, and they realize he's not the next Patrick Mahomes, what happens when something's inflated and it comes crashing down? Well, it comes crashing down hard, right? So don't get caught in there because I've seen it and it's ugly. I've been caught holding NFL cards into the season. I've lost a lot of money, so take my word for it. But you'll see like one quarterback maybe go up in value a lot. Usually that's what happens, maybe one. Next thing, so the National Card Show. So yes, I will be doing this podcast next week because I leave Tuesday night for the National Card Show. So I'll be doing it in the morning like I am right now. And so the National Card Show is like, it's like the biggest show. It's freaking crazy in there. And some good strategies to make money with at the National Card Show. So like this is the problem with like the National Card Show. So the National Card Show, the people that go there, the dealers, pay a lot of money to set up. It costs like $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 to have a table. Okay, so it's not cheap. If you're paying that much money to set up, you probably know what you're doing. And to be frank with you, a lot of them take advantage of people that just don't know the sports card market that well. They sell cards more than what they're worth, and it's hard to get a decent deal with a lot of these dealers. Especially like you'll probably not find anything that's worth grading. I mean, maybe you could. I mean, you probably could. I mean, there's so many cards there, but you'll really have to dig. Um, what I like to do at the National Card Show is what I'll be doing is looking for basketball that's low at the moment, rookies who I think will create a lot of buzz and excitement. Because I could afford to pay stronger for those cards as opposed to like this card of Brock Purdy. I mean, I bought it last week at a card show, but like it's worth $3,500. Like, what am I gonna do with it? Buying it in late July for $3,500? Probably not much. Probably not much, right? So I'm looking to be smart, looking to buy stuff that I think is low at the moment that I know I can pay strong. Also, what's really beneficial is something called trade nights. So if you don't know what a trade night is, so the way a sports card show works is like, so the National Card Show will go on from like 10 a.m. to like 6 p.m., right? I think those are the hours. And after, there's usually trade nights, and there's probably multiple different hotels. And what a trade night is, it's basically a bunch of people that have their cards in a hotel lobby, and they're just doing deals with each other. And what's beautiful about it, and actually it probably won't be in a hotel lobby, excuse that. They'll probably have a dedicated room because sports cards has gotten so big now. It used to be in just a random hotel lobby. But it's way easier to do deals with people that aren't dealers, right? That aren't sharks looking for every last dollar. At least in my experience, it's a great place to do deals. So those trade nights are extremely, extremely, extremely beneficial. I would strongly recommend going. They're fun. You can create connections. And also a little side piece for those of you guys who are going to the National Card Show. And honestly, you guys who are just going to any card show, you guys have probably seen Val. I'll have someone contact you, Sal. I'll I'll have someone reach out to you. Or I'll shoot you a message on Instagram after this. But so I don't know if you guys saw, there were $2 million in sports cards stolen 2 weeks ago at the Dallas Card Show. And the problem, I always said like sports cards are the best. Like sports card shows are the best place for thieves. It's an amazing place for thieves because like there's all these little damn cards like all over the place that are like that are like the size of this that are worth thousands of dollars, and like you could barely keep track of them because people are putting them out on tables, trading, negotiating. So here's a great piece of advice: the night, if you're going to a card show, the night before on your bed, lay out all the cards on your table, okay? And take a picture of all your cards in your phone. So when you go up to a dealer and you're interested in doing a trade deal, instead of having to go into your backpack, pull all the cards out, lay them out on the table, go back and forth, people are touching them, holding them, they're all over the place, and it's impossible to keep track of, you could just show the dealer, hey, are you interested in any of these cards? And you could show him the picture. You could zoom in, you could look, and so you don't have to take out all your cards multiple times, because guess what? If you keep taking out all your cards, putting them back in, taking them out, putting them back in, you're just going to increase the chances that someone's going to steal your cards, right? And even like, like the guys who stole $2 million in sports cards, they obviously had it planned. It was like a planned burglary. That's the right word, a robbery. But there's people there with probably not a lot of money that maybe just are there for fun. They see a card on a table. They know it's worth $2,000. They know no one's looking. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys this. There's a lot of bad people in this world. They'll take it. They don't give a shit. And good luck finding it, right? So take a picture of all your cards and then just show the dealers the picture. And then once you come to a conclusion that the dealer actually is interested in this specific card, go into your backpack, take out the card, put it out on the table, and then do your thing. Hopefully that helps. Other things, this is random, but this has got me excited. NCAA Football 25 just came out. I don't get to play that many video games anymore, but believe me, I have that downloaded. I will be playing today. I don't know if you guys play Xbox or PlayStation, but NCAA was one of my great childhood memories. Like NCAA 13 and 14 was so much fun, and then they took it away for like 10 years. It's bringing back a lot of people my age who are, used to play a lot of video games and really missed that one. I remember I had so much fun playing NCAA, probably more fun than Madden. I don't know what it was about it, just maybe all the teams and the atmosphere, and maybe all my friends played. I don't know, but that was just a great time, and it just came out for the first time in 10 years. I mean, they actually have names on the jerseys this time, like names in the game because of the whole NIL stuff. So yeah, that should be super super exciting. And last thing I'll go over. I've been getting some questions on this. So this is something okay. I was like hesitant on whether or not to say this on here, but I'm gonna say it anyways. So what we do, yes, Surge, it is a great game. So for those of you guys who have been like following me, right? Obviously, I sell a coaching program that teaches people how to do this. In our highest end sports coaching program, we actually sports card coaching program, we actually show you how to make money with sports betting, sports gambling. Okay, with no risk. Okay, and we only do this in the higher end one. It's a fantastic way to make money, and I'm just throwing it out there so you guys could look into it, make money yourselves. And there's something called sports betting arbitrage. Now, for those of you guys that sports gamble, you'll know what I'm talking about here. But the way sports betting works is, let's say you have your classic game. You have the Lakers and the Knicks playing. The Lakers are minus 130. The Knicks are plus 110. I'm not going to go into what these numbers mean, but because of the way the odds are skewed with a sports book, what happens is over the long term, it's impossible to win because the odds are in the casino's favor. That's what casinos make money, of course. However, what we discovered is, let's say you have the Lakers playing the Knicks tonight, and the Lakers are minus 130 on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, they might be minus 120. So different sports books have different odds depending on how many bets are placed, how much action there was. And what happens is you can find arbitrage opportunities. So, for example, this is just a rough example here, but like if you find the Lakers are minus, you know, let's see here, minus 120 on FanDuel, and you find the Knicks somewhere are plus 130 on DraftKings, well, if you place the proper amount of money on each side, you're guaranteed to make money. It's an amazing way to make an extra like 100, 200, 300 bucks a day. I've seen it change multiple people's lives. It's pretty crazy. So if you guys have seen videos out there of like student testimonials of mine talking about how they're making money with something called sports arbitrage, that's what they're talking about. We do something called sports betting arbitrage. It's a fucking incredible opportunity. It's something where you could literally make money right away. It's super cool. But yeah, we teach people how to do it. We show people how to do it. We're really good at it, and it's just an amazing way to make an extra few $1,000s a month. That's all I really got for you guys. Do you guys have any questions in the Instagram live? Any sports card questions, coaching questions, business questions? I saw someone said, "Who should I be buying for the upcoming NBA season?" I mean, I'll tell you who I'm high on. I'm high on Banchero, or Banchero. I don't know if it's pronounced Banchero or Banchero. I think the announcers say Banchero. But the problem is everyone else is high on him, and his prices are kind of high. I'm high on Chet. I think Chet's a solid buy. Brandon Miller, I think, is a solid buy. Uh, I'm trying my best to buy these cards raw and get them graded. Um, I mean, those are some of the solid ones. There's a few others. I mean, I could look here. Let's see here. I have a nice little list here. Tyrese Maxey, I've been looking to buy one or two higher end cards of him. Anthony Edwards is already so high, so like, good luck. Jamie Jaquez or Jaquez, however you pronounce it, I'm pretty bullish on him as well. Cade Cunningham is plays for the Pistons. Wembanyama is obvious. LaMelo, I just can't stay healthy for anything. So those are some of the guys I'm high on. But once again, it kind of depends on like the card as well. Like it's more about the card and less about the player, right? Like if you could find a blue numbered to 199 Prism at a good price of like Chet Holmgren, even though I'm much higher on like Victor Wembanyama, I'd rather have the blue number to 199 because I'm getting a better deal on it, and those cards appreciate very well. So it's more card dependent, less player dependent. That's kind of when I'm buying cards already graded to hold. It's more about that. Um, but yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, I will wrap this up. If you guys need anything from me, feel free to shoot me a message. Um, Let me know if you guys have any card questions, business questions, whatever you guys got. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions for me or want to see me cover anything. And I'll see you guys in the next one.